Welcome to Sunday School for Sunday, September 17th, 2023, for our junior students, ages 9 to 11. I do not own the rights to this music. Today's Bible basis is coming out of Genesis chapter 3, verses 8 through 17. The title of today's story, Wrinkles. I did it. I did it. I'm on the next level. I finally got to the next level. You have to see this. Get over here now. Jeffrey held the phone away from his ear as his friend Connor continued to scream excitedly about his new video game. I can't right now, Jeffrey said. My mom is taking a nap, and she told me to fold the clothes from the dryer so they won't be wrinkled for work. Man, forget those clothes. That's what irons are for, Connor said. I can't believe your mom makes you fold clothes anyway. You don't even have to stay long. Just run over for a minute to see this. Okay, Jeffrey said, giving in to Connor's pressure. But just for a minute. He headed across the street to Connor's house. He only intended to stay a few minutes, but wound up staying for over an hour. Later that evening, Jeffrey's mom was getting ready for work. Jeffrey, she called, where are the clothes you folded this afternoon? Uh-oh. Jeffrey had forgotten all about the clothes when he got back from Connor's house. He hurried to the dryer, snatched the door open, and pulled out a bunch of wrinkled clothes. When Mom saw her wrinkled uniform and heard that Jeffrey had disobeyed her and gone to Connor's house, she was disappointed and upset. Although Jeffrey tried to blame the whole thing on Connor, Mom grounded Jeffrey and took away his privileges for 1 week. What choices did Jeffrey encounter in this story? Did he make the right choices? Why or why not? Jeffrey tried to put all the blame on Connor. Was Connor at fault? Was Mom right to punish Jeffrey? Have you ever been in a situation similar to Jeffrey's? Did you make the right choices in that situation? Today's lesson is about choices and consequences. Adam and Eve lived a wonderful life in fellowship with God, but God had rules that they were expected to follow. One of those rules was to not eat from a certain tree, a tree that contained knowledge of good and evil. Satan, in the form of a serpent, wanted Adam and Eve to disobey God, so he convinced them to break the rules. Adam and Eve had a choice. Should they obey God or not? What do you think they chose? Genesis chapter 3, verses 8 through 17, and this is the King James Version. And Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of the Lord God amongst the trees of the garden. And the Lord God called unto Adam and said unto him, Where art thou? And he said, I heard thy voice in the garden, and I was afraid, because I was naked, and I hid myself. And he said, Who told thee that thou wast naked? Hast thou eaten of the tree whereof I commanded thee that thou shouldest not eat? And the man said, The woman whom thou gavest to be with me, she gave me of the tree, and I did eat. And the Lord God said unto the woman, What is this that thou hast done? And the woman said, The serpent beguiled me, and I did eat. And the Lord God said unto the serpent, Because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle, and above every beast of the field. Upon thy belly shalt thou go, and dust shalt thou eat all the days of thy life. And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. And unto Adam he said, Because thou hast hearken unto the voice of thy wife, and hast eaten of the tree of which I commanded thee, saying, Thou shalt not eat of it. Cursed is the ground for thy sake. In sorrow shalt thou eat of it all the days of thy life. Adam and Eve chose to disobey God. As soon as they did, life got a little harder. They had to suffer the consequences for their wrongdoing. Neither wanted to accept blame. They tried to place the blame on another. How did this affect their relationship with God? How does sin affect your relationship with God? What can you do to restore your relationship with God and others when you do wrong? The memory verses for today's lesson. And the Lord God said, Behold, the man is become as one of us, to know good and evil. And now, lest he put forth his hand and take also of the tree of life, and eat, and live forever. Therefore, the Lord God sent him forth from the Garden of Eden to till the ground from whence he was taken. And that's Genesis chapter 3, verses 22 and 23. Think about a time when you made a wrong choice and did or said something that you shouldn't. Have you expressed sorrow for your choice? Did you tell God you were sorry and ask Him to forgive you? On a sheet of paper, talk to God about your choice. Write it down on a piece of paper. Ask His forgiveness and tell Him what you should have done instead. Your challenge this week is to seek God first when making choices by asking God, can you help choose correctly between right from wrong so the choices you make will please Him? Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 and 6. Trust in the Lord with all thy heart, and lean not unto your own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge Him, and He will direct your path. The end. God bless you, and thank you for joining me today.